So on this slide, I have put something which I would want you to probably know by now, or in case you do not know, I'll talk about it. Obviously, how many of you have heard of something called as unstructured data? How many of you have heard of unstructured data?
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Yeah, Sajid. So unstructured data is data was not have any structure, not have any shorting, so like no have any layers.
Perfect. So they don't follow a particular schema. They are not in the proper tables and all that, right?
Yeah, right.
Great, great. So structured data is like raw data, and especially data which can come from blogs, from internet, data from Facebook, data from Twitter. All of them
Yeah.
is an example, are an example of unstructured data. Good. So we have a
Yes, sir.
technology called Hadoop, which will go ahead and which goes ahead and structurize this unstructured data to some extent. Yeah, that's one thing which is very important for us. Number two, which is important for us, that you might also get structured data from your own system. So you might have your ERP systems wherein you have structured data stored. So for example, you are an HR company, you are a bank, or maybe you are an organization, but you're still maintaining structured data. Now, what would structured data be like? So structured data are proper tables. So we might have an employee table, we might have a salary table, we might have a sales table, and all of these are can be combined together at later stages. So that would be example of structure, because everything is in a particular column. So we have columns in which we have data. So it might look like an Excel sheet. So we have a column called name. We might have a column called location, age, salary. So when you have column and row by row data, that
Right.
becomes structured data. All with me till now?
Right.
Yeah. So okay, now we want some tools which can make sense out of this data. We need some tools which can make sense of this structured, unstructured data. So those tools are your tools which are called SAS and R or Python, and I will take you through them. I'll explain what are they in the next slide. Once we are able to bring some actionable insight, so what could be the actionable insight? I might want to crunch my data. I might want to know who are the people who might leave the organization. For example, um, I am doing basically an analysis in which I want to go ahead and talk about which are the people who might leave the organization in the next 6 months. So I might use these tools like SAS, R, and Python. Okay, so that's where we will use these tools in the HR world to be able to create statistical models. And then in the end, you might want to go ahead and report your findings using some data visualization tools. So we can visualize data on Excel. We can make a chart on Excel, but there are other tools on which you can really make amazing uh, you know uh, dashboards. Some of the tools are called Tableau. There's a tool which is called as ClickView. This tool which is called MicroStrategy. So why am I explaining you all this? Because also in the HR analytics world, okay, when your data can be unstructured, your data can be structured. You might be asked to create statistical models. You might be also asked to create amazing dashboards. So you have these four areas where you can have jobs. Are you all with me till now? And then I'll take you through the HR analytics in more depth. All with me till now? Can I get a yes no maybe on the chat?
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, Tanya, for your
Yes, sir.
response.
This may be possible in these areas.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yes, sir. This
great,
may be possible. Yeah.
great. Okay, so now I'll take you to the main slides of HR analytics. So on this slide, I'll talk about the evolution of the HR analytics. So what was happening till now was analytics was more focused in the sales area, the finance area, but it was not that much focus in the HR the HR area, and where human is basically. And a lot of companies are facing issues of attrition, facing issues of when people are not happy, they're leaving the organization, they're not doing the right work. So this slide is more focusing upon that what was HR earlier. So it was just a welfare officer kind of a job. Then it grew to become a labor manager. Then it became a personal management area. Then it became the human resource management area. And then where it's going today is that we really want to become the human capital analyst. We really want to see how can we analyze human data, and how we can pick up examples, how we can pick up old data, how can I crunch data to find out what is happening in my organization when a person joins till the time he is in the company, or till the time he leaves the company. So we are trying to cover end to end employee life cycle. So that's what I want to talk about from this slide. In case anybody has questions, please use the chat window and let me know. So what is the objective of human resource analytics? The main objective of human resource analytics is to respond to the business in advance through predictive analytics for human resources. Now, why will this be important? This is important because today the demands are growing, okay? And I really want to find out what kind of workforce should I deploy in my organization. And for that, if I have old data, I should be able to predict the number of headcount, or rather number of people I would require, as per the location in my organization, across the world. Maybe if I'm a organization which is working across the world. So that's where your predictions will come into actions. You really do not have space to lose business. And because you don't have the right capital or right human capital, you cannot afford to lose business. So you should be able to predict, how many people should I have where in my organization. I'll give you a very small example, a very, very small example. So let's say you're working for the call center, and then in the call center, what happens is that, I want to really do or really predict how many calls will hit me in the next 1 hour, and how many people should be there to take those calls, so that the call abandon should not go over, let's say 1% or 2%. So how many people should I deploy? How many people should I have? So this is a very small example of using workforce management analytics, which is part of the human resource analytics. What more do we have? Improve organizational performance through high quality talent related decisions. So we really want to build some real good scorecards and not just be metric driven. We really would want to find out who are the high quality talent in my organization, who are the right people who should stick, and who are the people who leave and go, we still should not have any concerns. So we really want to retain the right talent in the organization, because if I have the right people, I can grow better. The next point says optimize talent supply chain and increase the ROI and talent. So if I'm hiring somebody at a package of 10 lakhs, then what is the ROI and talent is very, very important. What kind of work will you do, and what is the amount of output which I will be able to drive from that person? So very important point here. So we can create models which will help us optimize the supply chain. Serving a source of competitive advantage for organizations and successful execution of business strategies. Right people, the right business strategy, and obviously will grow. Anybody has questions on this slide, please let me know. In case not, I'll go to the next point. All with me? Shall I go to the next slide? Okay, thank you. Now comes the most important part, guys. Very, very important part. So if you have learned statistics ever in your college, or if you remember in your MBA. So statistics, any book would have three parts. The first part is called descriptive, the second is called inferential, the third is called predictive. Okay, and I'm gonna link it to the analytics, because if you are not good in statistics, at least basic statistics, then you cannot be good in analytics. So the prerequisite is that you at least understand basic statistics. So we will obviously help you bridge up that gap, which probably you are not be remembering now, because you have learned in your colleges and schools. But the importance is that you are stepping in the world of data right now. I do not want you to be good with mathematics, but I would really urge you to be developing that taste for statistics, because it's all about playing with data. So the main word for you is statistics, which has to be pretty clear. If you think statistics is a tough subject and you are not inclined towards it, I would refer you some books in the course in the session today, which is meant for people who are not from statistics background. And trust me, you statistics, the way we have learned in schools, we always used to fear, because we used to look at those jumbled up and humongous formulas. But actually we do not have to learn the formulas. What you need to learn is when to use which technique of statistics. That is what is important. All with me till now? Make sense? So, what do I mean by descriptive? Descriptive basically means I should be able to summarize my data. So out here, we really want to find out how things are going. So I want to find out what is the average age of people in an X department. That's an example of descriptive statistics. What is the mode? What is the median? What is the standard deviation? What is the variation? So I am sure you've heard of all these words, but obviously in the course we'll go through all of these. And that is where I was talking about the first slide of structured, unstructured, and then crunching of data. The first slide which I picked up after my introduction. So very important, because if you are not able to summarize data, then you will not know what is there happening in my organization or with my data as of now. So it is not, when you learn analytics, it is not that you learn HR analytics or you learn finance analytics or sales analytics. So analytics is one thing which can be applied to any domain for that matter. The only thing which remains is you should learn the domain. So in HR, what are the key things which you should know? Rest all analytics is same across any domain for that matter. Predictive is using your techniques to forecast. How many of you have, or do you remember regression? How many of you remember regression by any chance? I'm not asking, I'm not going to go into detail of regression, but have you heard of regression? Y is equal to fx, straight line formula, school maths, class 12th, 11th. Yeah. So we will want to use that technique of predictive analytics. Yeah, no issues, Tanya. So we will cover that in the course. We would want to use the predictive part of the analytics and want to go and predict basis the factors, basis the X's. Would this person resign or will stay with me in the organization? Is an example of predictive. I am trying to forecast. I'm trying to do prediction. And to do prediction, I cannot use Microsoft Excel. I need to use a tool which can do statistical modeling. And then we will be talking about a tool like R or SAS or Python, because these tools are capable of doing statistical modeling. So I have I have something which Shubham is saying. Yeah, exactly. Good. Prescriptive is optimizing your model. So what would better have you could do? So for example, I'll give you a very small example from the other domain. This is called supply chain, or it's also called transportation problem. So what happens is, let's assume that you are working for Samsung, just an example only, and you have a warehouse in Delhi, and you have 25 shops across North Delhi, and I give you 3 trucks full of TVs of different sizes, which you have to go and deliver on all those 25 or 30 shops. I give you a stipulated time that it needs to be covered in 2 days from now, 3 days from now. What is the best route you will take? Which shop will you deliver first? How will you be able to optimize your time and you will not overshoot the budget? Is an example of prescriptive. So you have a lot of constraints which are given to you, and you try to optimize your current ways of working so that you can bring out the best. This is an example of prescriptive analytics. So there are 3 layers of these analytics: descriptive, predictive, prescriptive. This one thing which is merged between descriptive and predictive, it is called inferential. So inferential basically means you take up a sample data piece and then you try to predict, or rather you want to go ahead and infer what will be the population. Now, for example, if I really want to know the mean height of men in India, I cannot go to every male in the country and ask them what is your height. Rather, what I will do, I'll do sampling, and then I will try to infer from the sample what will be the population mean height of the country. So that's where you do inference. We draw some hypothesis, and we'll cover some part of that statistics also during our course. So On this slide, what we're trying to say out here is the first layer is reporting, the second layer is analysis and monitoring, the third layer is predictive analytics, and obviously I have not covered prescriptive in this. But what we're trying to say out here is, if I have got past data, we are pulling in reports and we are doing descriptive analytics. By that we mean to say we're trying to represent data and summarize data. Now when you say summarize data, you might want to plot some charts, you might want to draw some diagrams, some kind of plots to be able to show your data, or you might want to crunch your data using some metrics. Inferential basically says drawing conclusions out of the data which is given to you. And what more we can do, we can use the past data to go ahead and predict the current data. Why? I'll tell you why. Okay, and the future also. So what do we mean by predicting the current data? Is basically, for example, I create a statistical model, okay, based on some factors. If my statistical model is not able to predict the reality as on today correctly, then how will it be predicting the future correctly? So that's what I mean by predicting the current data correctly. Okay, so what has happened has to, my model should be able to relate to that first. If it is relating to that first correctly, then it will be also going ahead and doing a good job when it comes to future modeling and doing future predictions of forecast. Any question anybody has? I know this slide was a bit technical. I'm awaiting a response in the chat window. Obviously we will cover in more depth once we hit the course. Guys, I'm waiting for your response in the chat window. So I was talking about an example of HR using the attrition data here. So when I'm doing basic analysis, I'm just trying to find out how many people left. What I'm doing a report. In the report, what do you see? Attrition row level data. So row by row data is there on attrition, and we are saying that we are not using analytics as of now. So that's just basic reporting. How we will say that we have developed at least a bit taste of analytics when we are saying that, we want to find out exactly who left, and you might want to go ahead and slice and dice your data by unplanned, unplanned iteration, segment wise, tenure wise, department wise, and all that. So you are trying to present your data in some way to the organization. Then you're trying to say that we are using some better ways of reporting. We are trying to find some insights from the data, and it's not just raw data which is there. From there we move to the next level, which is defined. So we really want to find out, did the right people leave? And I'm trying to pull some metrics such as attrition, performance ratio by segment, department, and manager. We really want to find out which is the manager who's having the high attrition. Maybe a YTD attrition, you want to find out Airtel attrition. So is the manager a problem? Who's the problem, and all that. The next level is the advanced stage, in which we want to really predict right now using data who is at the risk of leaving. So I'm trying to create an attrition model. I really want to find the probabilities against each and every person to find out who are the people who might leave me in the next 6 months, or rather the month in which I'm creating this model. And then the last part is leading, in which we are trying to say attrition is one thing, but can I use a model in my hiring, or rather in my resourcing, and I put in some data using the CVs of the people, the resumes of the people, and then we'll be able to predict, is this person a good fit for me or not a good fit for me. So if it's a good fit for me, he goes to the next level of interview. If it's not a good fit for us, based on the statistical model, I will not interview him. So we will not just interview everyone who comes. Rather, we should use a statistical model to be able to find out, should this person go to the next level or not. This is what bank also does. So bank, what does bank do for us? We go to a bank, we take our information on a loan form. So let's say I'm applying for a home loan. And then I go to the bank and I say, hey, I need a bank loan. I need a loan of 30 lakhs for a house which I'm taking. Bank will run all my information basis the form which I filled. Will also use the credit score and then predict should Abhishek be given a loan or not. So that's what we want to do out here also. Should Abhishek be hired or not? That's just an example. But I really want to cut the attrition. How will I cut the attrition? By two things. Either I control the attrition which is happening inside my organization. How do I control if I am able to predict it? Who's gonna leave? And then use some operational techniques so that I can control my attrition. Other thing is that I should be able to predict will this person leave me in 6 months or 1 year. Let's say I've got baby attrition. Now, why? What do we mean by baby attrition? Is attrition of people who leave us within the first 3 months or 6 months. So I really want to control my baby attrition. So why are people leaving me? And how can I do it by building a statistical model? All with me? Yes, no, maybe.